on,
We are in.
girl. Come on, sis. Come
Good
on,
morning,
sis.
Glory.
Hey, girl.
Glory. What we doing today? I just said yes. I have no idea. I just figured you want to talk.
I do.
So
That's
I'm
all this
down for
is. It's me and you talking.
you just
You
want
know
to
what it is, KJ? I swear. This year, every year I always go through this whole thing about National Women's Month. And I said, I love the fact that we share information about how fabulous we are as women, what we've
yeah.
done to contribute to society. But
Mm-hmm.
at the very basic level, I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we forget that I just need to hear from my sister. I just need to talk to
Amen.
her on a very elementary level of we haven't connected enough and I want to make sure you're good. That's first and foremost. And then second in that, I don't know about you, but it's important to me that the people that I actually call my friend and really mean it. I'm not talking about, we haven't talked in forever. That doesn't matter to me. If you are my
Right.
friend, you are my friend. And
Yeah.
so I want to make sure that this month I have connected with the selected ladies that I want
Mm-hmm.
the opportunity to say, I think you fucking rock. And that's really all this is about. Like, and the one, and
yes.
I said, me and KJ are constantly saying, we're going to
Yes.
reconnect. We're going to get together. We're
Yeah.
going to get that drink. We're going to
Yeah.
get the smoothie. We're
Yeah.
going to do something.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, well, you know what? I got to put her on the list. Like you were at the top. Cause I was like, of all the people that I've met as an adult, as a professional,
Uh-huh.
like you're up there with, even when you don't know I'm watching you for inspiration, I'm watching. And it
Mm.
feeds into my spirit. But then it because you're my sister, it makes me question who feeds into your spirit.
Okay. Have we started already? Are we in?
Yeah.
This is in?
That's
Oh
it,
Lord.
girl.
I'm over here like still primping and
Cause
prepping.
that's cause you
Okay.
fabulous. You doing what you're supposed to. You fabulous. That's all that is.
We are in.
Yeah.
Okay. Who
But I
feeds
do,
my
I do
spirit?
wonder that because I see you and you travel all over the world and you pour out. And I swear, I'm not saying this because you're my friend. I'm saying because I watch and I'm a communicator by trade. It's what I do. So I understand that which is spoken and not. And I've seen the room shift after you walk in and the way you come in with that energy. And you're such a small person. And I wonder who's filling that tank? Like, how do you do it? I know first and foremost, you ain't got to say God. I get that. I get it. I mean,
Yeah,
down
we
here,
like, okay, God is
out,
already
out of the
okay.
spiritual realm, but out on the earth, walking the
Yes,
earth. Who does
go.
that? Who does that?
Amen. Um, my family, this,
Yeah.
and so I think I'm constantly searching for inspiration.
Yeah.
Um, you know how the pastor says, come to church with an expectation. Don't come with me. Don't come thinking I'm gonna do all the work. Like if you don't come with an expectation, then it's impossible for me to fill your cup.
Mm.
So I don't put that responsibility on anyone to, refuel me. I put it on myself. And then I look for ways, I look for openings for inspiration. And so when people want to interview me or highlight me or check on me, that refuels me. So
Mm.
you are refueling me in this moment. And so I think I'm diversified in how I get it. I just
Yeah.
had a chance and I'm still riding high from working with the legendary hip hop artist Escobar Nasty Nas in New York for his first time headlining MSG. That fueled me.
Yes.
Moments like that helped me remember like why I do what I do, and that real legends and people that truly understand their gift, they never stop searching for ways to elevate.
Yeah.
And so, the fact that he is who he is, and he's been doing this for so many years that he would still be interested in going higher.
Yeah.
And there are times people just don't know, they don't know what they don't know. So a lot of times they don't know what I'm going to provide. I have figured out a way to be as convincing and emphatic about how I pour into other people enough for them to say yes.
Right.
And then when I do the work, they can't unfeel it. And then they want it again. And I can't unfeel it because it also stretches me. And so, after, you're right, there's a level of there's an exchange where people harness your energy, and then you have to go back and you have to restore. And I'm starting to be a bit more conscious of that restoration that I
Yeah.
wasn't conscious of before. I just wonder, why don't I have it to give when it's time for me to deliver? And so, I my natural default is not stillness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
And so
It's in my bones.
I'm
I
like,
can't, I
what has
can't sit
happened?
still.
I can't sit still. And so then God has a way of yanking me back because I have not yet understood the metrics um, that come with overextending, like knowing the difference
Mm.
between overextending and then just doing what I do. And when I'm unclear, God makes it very clear. Like, the
Wow.
time is up. You've done it. I put you in this assignment. It's not really about you. Release the ego because now the assignment is complete. And it's that
Mm.
ego, that moment where I'm like, but wait a minute. Like, I mean, I still want, this is my baby. I
Yeah.
still want to be
Yeah.
here.
I have
He
some
was
more
like,
things I want to add. Like, no, the cake is done. Like, get your hands out the oven. But
get your
listen,
hand.
that is a practice that is so much easier said than done. One of the things that I say all the time when I talk to people or people who interview me, and that, they ask the question, what is one of the greatest lessons or the most valuable lessons that you've ever learned? And for me, I can say, it is true. My grandmama used to say this to me. I'm a Southern girl. My grandmama used to say all the time, never overstay your welcome. And I never understood what that meant or how to, and I never even thought about applying it to my life until I got older and I lived a little bit. And then in rooms that I would go into, positions that I would be in, jobs I would have, I got it. And so sometimes my ego would say, but you got some more things you want to do. They ain't
Yes,
seen
yes,
everything
yes,
you got. You got some more
yes,
shine you want to get. And if I didn't give that room up, God would make it where I couldn't
yep.
stay in the room. He would put me out. And I'd be like, oh, wait a minute. How'd I get
Oh,
outside
he
of
shuts that.
the room?
Oh, and he shuts it, and it does not feel good when he shuts it.
It does
He's like,
not.
I'd much rather you, come on out and close the door your own by yourself.
But since
But
you
when he
didn't,
shuts it,
I'm going to
I'm gonna have
spank
to
you.
go ahead. Yeah,
But
yeah, and you're
I
right.
would
It
imagine
is.
people who see you though, you know, and obviously for me, I didn't want this to really be about, all the famous names of people that you've worked with and where you've been, just all of that is so much really to comprehend in one lifetime. It may not be, and I think we're all guilty of, because we live our lives, you feel like there's not a lot going on, but for people who are outside looking in, it's like, how did
Mhm.
you fit all of that in this amount
Yeah,
of time, and having not been here that long? But for me, it also comes down to just learning and growing and stretching, but also during that process, touching and agreeing that I want to
mm,
make sure that you're okay, that you also know if you ever needed anything, good, bad, indifferent, just a smile, just a like,
yeah,
just a heart, just whatever, that I'm always there for that. And
yeah.
I don't know. There is something about your energy. First of all, going all the way back to how we met. My girl, Takia,
Yes,
was like, you got to meet this girl. And I was like,
yeah.
because when you get older, you feel like, oh, I got all my friends.
I
I'm
don't need
good.
nobody else in my
You
circle. No
know,
new
I'm
friends.
good. And she was like, no, you got to meet this girl. She's a movement all by herself. I was like, first of all, that's me. You talking about me meeting me? Okay,
Right,
well,
right,
let's
right.
see. And from the moment I met you, I said, wow, this girl's energy.
Mm.
It didn't just because I know I'm a lot. I can't go into a lot of rooms because I'm a lot. I'm taking up all the air in the room, and I don't do it on
Yes.
purpose. It's just like you. It is not natural for me to not be inflated. And I'm not talking about ego. I'm talking about just me. I know I'm a lot, and people are like,
Yeah.
do you have to try to be funny all the time? I'm not trying. This is just me. I love doing this. I'm a kid, you know. But I just I knew your energy was not just at my level, it was higher. And I was like, I
Mm.
like this girl. Where's she going? I want to go where she's going because that's where the party's
Where's
going to be.
she
Where are we going next? I remember one time you picked me up from the airport. We went straight to the park to a party. I was like, yes, what are we doing
We
now?
sure
Oh, we roller
did.
skating? Okay, what else? I think as women, we don't celebrate that part of us enough. I think we've been chained and bound for so long that all we know how to do is to be heavy with responsibility, with maturity, with actor age, with, why you bouncing all over the place? And I think sometimes you got to be Tigger. You got to be Tigger
Yeah.
to somebody's Winnie the Pooh. I think you got to bounce around because that's where the fun is. And I think one of the things that has made me always want to be connected to you is that even if I don't get to see you in person, I'm following you, when I need that extra bounce, I can get it. And I wanted you to know that from my mouth to
Yeah.
your ears and not an in between. I
That
mean
means
that.
so much.
I've said this to Takia before, and I finally said, you know what? I don't want to go through. I want her to know. And I've never said
Yeah.
that to your face before, but I've
Yeah.
always seen your soul shine. Like I have,
Woo.
like it radiates out of your skin. You can just see it in the way you move, the way you talk, the just everything. And I admire it. And I didn't want this month as Women's
Mm.
Month to go by without me sharing that with you in a very sacred, safe space of we're
Yeah.
not putting
Yeah.
on shows. This is for real. Like I really
Yeah.
wanted you to know that.
Well, it means so much to me that you would say that. Um, I do believe that our bond like transcends time. And when we can't get our schedules together, I'm like, that's because she out there winning. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, we got to do better. But she is out there winning. So I'm always rooting for you, and just the season and what God is doing for you, within this season and beyond. And so it's funny that you mentioned the word soul, because one of the things that Nas said this weekend was that I was the soul and spirit
Mm,
I bring out the soul and spirit of a performance.
you do. You
And
really
I had
do. And I
never.
saw Lil Nas X perform before you got a hold of him. I had seen
Mhm.
some things, online, because online nothing is sacred. You can find anything you want to,
Yeah, yeah,
right? But that's what I said. Even in a circle of just everyday people, I've
yeah.
seen you transform so much so that I'm not even kidding about, you may remember this about I think it was pre-COVID. I feel like I sent
Okay.
you a text message and I said, I really need your help. I need something. I can't remember.
Mhm.
I feel like I sent you a text message, but I never really followed up. You was like, yeah, just let me know when you good. And I
Yeah,
never
yeah, yeah. Yes,
followed
I
up.
do. 'Cause I was gonna come and do some
I was
filming.
second guessing myself. And what it
Oh.
was since I was a kid and even to this day, there
Mhm.
is something in me, and I don't know, I feel like only you could understand it, right?
Mm.
There is something in me that at certain moments, whether it's a song, a movement, a story, that is bubbling so strong inside of me, it feels like an inferno. And it's
Yeah.
almost like I'm doing a whole concert. Now, I can't sing. Now, I
You
can
don't have to.
dance. I can
Come
dance.
on. Come on.
We can get it moving. What?
We can
But
get to
there is
singing.
something in me that, like my grandmama used to say, it won't let me sit still. And I wanted to learn how to harness that energy
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
use it in a way that should I release it like the Kraken, it won't look like, I'm having some kind of spasm or stroking out. You know what I mean?
Right.
And and
Right.
and
Right.
and I felt like, only she would get it. Because when I watch you go through the room, it's literally like from the computer screen. I'm like, oh shit, I can't. What is this? Whoa, girls, wait a minute, go girl, go girl. It's like this whole thing. So when you did the book and the music and all of that, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, this is so perfect. And so how do
Yes.
you teach somebody to
That.
first of all name what that is that they're feeling, give it a
Mm,
name, and then
mm.
train it so that like anything you can command it on purpose.
Ooh, come on. Well,
You
first I
know?
want to say that it was Nas that actually said the word soul and spirit.
Ah,
Nas.
got it.
But I'm sure Lil Nas feels the same.
He does. I'm
Um,
telling you, yeah, I don't. You gave him something. I was
I'm
like,
sure he feels
ooh, and after that, baby,
amazing.
skyrocket to the
Oh
moon.
my God. Meteoric. And so I normally coach from three verticals. I assess how someone shows up, how they would like to show up, because sometimes you are unaware of how you project. You
Mhm.
have a desire to project one way, but it's not really kind of being interpreted in that way. So it's, what does show up look like for you? Um, and have you accessed the assets, excavated the assets, and understood your strengths so that you're showing up fully? So I always
Mm,
take us back to, the basics, whether it's executives or whether it's performance artists. I'm like, we're all artists. Wherever you occupy space, that's your stage. So I treat everyone from from the center of no one can duplicate what you do, no matter what stage you are performing on, the medical stage, the elementary school stage, the radio media stage, wherever that is, no one can duplicate it. There's just one you. There can be 1,000 titles that are similar, but no one will ever do it in a way that completely reflects your story and your experience. So we've got to get to the root of your story and your experience. And so after we show up, it is embrace your force. So that's when we start naming it. Like, what is that thing about you
mhm,
that cannot be hijacked? What is that thing that can't be negotiated? What were you born with that even if you tried, it just will not leave you? And whatever words you decide at 540, you can change them at 555,
yeah.
right? You don't have to hold on to that. Nobody should make you box yourself in. And so it was interesting that you talked about people saying, why you have to do it like that and why does it
Yeah.
take all that? Because before I understood, your hair is gorgeous, by the way.
It's
Come on,
growing
color.
out, girl. You remember I had to cut
It's
it all
so
off.
cute.
It's
I love it. No, I love
growing
it.
all
I
out,
love
growing
it.
all out.
And so I'm, when I was younger, I had this interesting stage fright. Like I was great
You
with
had stage
ensemble.
fright? Shut up.
I know, girl, talk about it.
I can't believe it.
Hmm.
That's impossible that you had stage fright.
No, I had stage fright. I didn't want to speak alone. I was not trying to be an orator. I hated singing alone. My body would have an adverse reaction, which is why I speak the language of performers today, which is why I have such a spectrum
Ah,
of being able to meet you where you are and rise with you, because
yeah,
I understood kind of like what that feeling was like to have so much to say, and so much passion in your craft but feel so limited in the way that you tell that story.
yeah.
And so once I understood that my force, one of them was energy, my other one was tenacity, then no longer did it bother me that people would say, why you got to do it like that? It don't take all of that. Why you doing too much? And for a while I'd be like, ooh, well, let me just get
Me
myself,
reining it
gather
in
myself,
a little bit. Yeah.
and then I was like, oh, but wait a minute, energy is my ministry, and obviously you ain't figured out yours yet, because you wouldn't be
Whoop. That
trying
I mean, that
to
sounds like a
bring
word
nobody.
right there.
You know what I'm
You
saying?
figured out
So I'm
yours.
like, man, there is an awakening that happens when you totally embrace what you were born with, because it means that you were qualified to do that thing that you may not be able to name right now, but you know what it feels like to
Right.
do that thing that maybe most won't understand, but God didn't require everybody to understand when he whispered it to you. That's just between you and him.
Let me
right?
ask you
And
this.
so here,
When was the first time you let that loose? When was the first time you actually just said, I'm going to release the valve all the way? Not a little bit, but just floodgates. Do you remember that
when
moment
I'm
that you did it?
I do, because I started as a singer. You know this, right?
Yep.
My career started as a vocal artist singing for in the stage fright, I kept myself in the background because I was like, oh, I'm good back here. This is great. Singing background for Britney Spears and Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake, Carl Thomas, Diddy. And so, that was like the first tier of working through, like, seeing myself bigger. And then we talk about outstaying your welcome. And then I think that tried to stay in the background for too long,
Too
because
long.
for so long, but it was like, I know this beast, but it's like my career was predicated on when someone else was working, which I didn't like. And so I was like, wouldn't it be a shame? I watched 20 Feet from Stardom. It was
Excellent
about,
documentary. Excellent. I mean, put a like poof, a lot of things into
yes,
perspective.
mhm,
Amazing documentary.
yeah.
Highly
And what
recommend.
it
If you haven't
said,
seen it, you got to see it.
you got to see it for all artists,
All
because it
artists.
gave me a different fire to not rely on someone else to take my career to another level. It's like sometimes you have people like Kelly Price that never even hear you sing, but say, do you want to go on the road with Puff after a week meeting her? Sometimes you got people like Carl Thomas that says, you gonna get on this stage and do this song. I was like, I'm only good at Anita Baker. Well, we gonna do Anita Baker however many times. Get up there, no matter how much my stage fright tried to take over me.
That's all right.
Every now and then you have somebody that pushes you, but then when you're working for others that are focused on their own thing, you can't really rely on them. It's not that they don't want to see you do great, but that might not be their most proficient muscle
Yeah.
to
Well, the
push
other
you
thing is,
into.
it's not that everybody is always focused, whether they say it or not. Most
Yeah,
people are focused on them. They just are, and not in a
yeah,
malicious way. Just in I'll help you,
a
but
busy
I got to
way.
focus on me first.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, that's just
And so after watching that, I was like, okay, I would hate to look up and I'm 75 and I got one skill set because I didn't take a chance on myself. And so the thing is, nobody pays you to work on your own albums. So I came off the road and I started working for J Records. My sister CJ was there, and I worked as the nighttime receptionist. And then they were like, do you want to work for Clive Davis? And so I ended up being his assistant. So, okay, back to the moment that I feel like that shift happened. Um, I was working. So then I left Clive, went back on the road with Janet Jackson, came off the road, worked at Sundance TV in original programming. They allowed me to use both kind of like skill sets of, working in a TV, but also still performing. On the weekends, I was still kind of crafting my own album. And I would say it wasn't until I came to LA to sing in a film. I think
mm,
I had just broken up with this dude. My
that'll
soror
do it.
sister ism. She was like, "Come sing in this film." I was like, "Okay." And I remember, like, um, it was just supposed to be a nice little gospel song, honey. Okay, you was just supposed to say, "Come out there, God is a good God," and then the choir would go, "Yes, He is." And I probably had just cried before I got on stage.
I know you did. You had to. If you just broke
Singing.
up with somebody, you just
And I was like,
cried.
yeah, right. So by the time I got on stage, I was fooled. I was like, God is a good God. And they were like, oh my God. All right. And then I said, ooh, I think LA has something for me. One of my first meetings that helped me it was a constant unlocking, but this was the unlocking needed, I think, to come to LA and not ask permission to be in LA and to come
Mm,
with my chest out. Like, I paid my dues in New York. I
right.
already did it. Okay. I did what I needed to do. My armor came from New York. So here, oh, we already winning. I met with Devon Franklin and I said, I'm trying to figure out that metric that says, I should just come to LA without having anything. I should just make that jump, or should I constantly send, resumes and see what happens? And then he was like, "Okay, well, what is it that you're coming to do?" I was like, "I'm a host, I'm a singer, I can act, I'm a dancer, I'm a,"
I'm
now
all
he
those
was right there.
things.
I'm all those things. He said, "Well, how will one know when and how to find you if It's so diversified.
Wow, good point.
And I was like, huh. And he said, it doesn't mean that you stop doing those other things, but how do people see you? And when they see you, you automatically come to their mind and then they call you, as opposed to saying, I'm not sure
Hmm.
what. And so then he said, and because I had some meetings set
Interesting.
up that week, and I was like, yeah, I've got a meeting with Disney, da, da, da. And he said, well, if you're waiting on the yes of Disney and the yes of all these other people to be the determining factor on whether you move to LA, then you're outsourcing your faith. And I had heard those words separately, but I'd never heard them together. And I said, what? And then
Somebody
it
got an
started.
entire sermon in like a couple of words.
I did. And then it made me start speaking on don't outsource your win, right? Giving it to other people
Yeah.
to determine for you. And so it was then that I was like, okay, I am a performance creative director. That's how I'm coming to LA. I loved that it was the service business versus the what do you think about me now? I had done that for 20 years. But to now offer you something, walk into the meetings like I'm coming anyway. I'm just here to offer you a service. If it works, cool. But I'll be here if you're ready. And so that was a different piece, knowing that I have something to offer, not just out here looking for something to gain.
Yeah. But I would
And
imagine
that's,
too, though, that in knowing that and having that revelation, I'm sure now when you are known for that, every room that you go in, friend or foe, but certainly friend,
yeah,
everybody wants some. Teach me how you do that. Hey, I need some help.
yeah,
Like just in a constant, I mean, I guess that goes back to be careful what you ask for, right? If you want to
right.
be in a position where you can serve people, now
Yeah.
it's like a constant serving of people, which is cool. But let me ask you this, how do you then balance that when it's relationship time? Like, how do you balance
Well,
that? Because, you know, men or whoever, whatever, want to be served too. It's like, okay, hold on now. I ain't gonna serve all day and come home and serve too. Hold up. Like, where is the balance in that?
it was, you know what? It's funny that you asked that question and then the response that came to me, and then also the message that came to me. I was going to say to you that when that happens, I'll create my boundaries, right? But I feel like God just said, create your boundaries now so then I can actually place them in your life. And so
Wow, that's good. That's a
I think you just
word.
did that. You
That's a
just
word.
did
Well, you know,
that.
that's what I do. I spark things like that. Thank you.
Come on.
Uh,
Because I was like, yeah, I mean,
but you know, I
because I was
think
just
that
thinking,
because I know me and you've had this conversation a gazillion times, and I know just like me, it is one of those
mhm,
things where you get tired of hearing it, but then you also wonder it, but then you wonder, do you spend too much time thinking about it? You know, I'm just gonna leave it alone.
yeah,
It's like which came first, the chicken or the egg, and then it's like a cycle of insanity, and that is, who are you dating? Are you not married yet? What are you doing? What are you gonna do when you get old? And blah blah blah. It's like, hey, first of all, don't put all that on me. Okay. I'm just out here living. I'm enjoying myself. I'm having a good time. I am open to that possibility. And hopefully it is something in a situation where we be equally yoked. He will understand me.
yeah,
I will understand him, you know,
yeah,
but I'm not back in the closet crying because it hasn't happened
right,
yet. And I
right,
think it's a
right,
lot of pressure placed on especially people, well, most women, but certainly if you're in entertainment and you have to, be in rooms where it's, mixed company, it's a lot of good looking dudes and people always want to know. So I know you always at this event and that event. You mean you're not dating?
right.
Hey, I'm great. How are you? Yeah, things are
Yeah,
good. Okay. Can you
yeah,
ask me about that first?
yeah, yeah. That part.
And
I
then you
mean,
wonder the space that you create, do you leave room for it? Because I mean, KJ is a lot in a room now. KJ plus one. What does a plus one do when it's like this much oxygen left to breathe?
well, I've been down this road before. And so I believe that there is enough for us both to exist. Here's the thing. I need, I feel like support is great. Support is get there safely. Hope it all goes well. I'm here to help. But I've realized that I need a champ. And only
Hmm.
God can champ, right? A champ says, I understand your assignment. How can I help push it further? How can I elevate you in it? And then I do the same for them. I know that when you are resonating in the spaces that God has for you, and when you feel like you are serving, the kingdom, then that brings you joy, and and He becomes a benefactor of that joy. And so I know the type of heart that I need. And so that's probably why it's taking a little longer. But I also know, and what gives me great comfort is that I know that God will never withhold anything good. Whatever I kind of thought was good,
Hmm.
He's going to provide even more than that. And so I know He ain't over there sitting down like, I mean, this is who I had in mind, but I mean,
But I mean, you can take it or leave it. I mean,
you know,
I'm always having these conversations with men and they try to weaponize information like, well, that's why, you and all your
yeah.
girlfriends are single. Okay, but
Who
then
says
how is that
that?
a bad thing? I mean, it's not like we are
Right.
forlorn and we're just like over here with, living with 5,000 cats and unhappy. Like we are prospering, we are blossoming, we are finding ourselves. And for
Yeah.
me, I've never, and it is true, like my girlfriends, all y'all, like highly successful, black, gorgeous, all of that, and single. But I never look at it like it's a negative or a bad thing because I also
Yeah.
believe that there are certain things that have to be left alone in order to rise properly, right? Like even if you're
Mhm.
the best bread, you can knead it a little bit, but then you got to leave it alone in order for it to
Yeah.
rise. And if you mess
Yeah.
with it too soon, you're going to fuck the bread up. Not everybody
That's
mad.
true. That's
So
true.
in my mind, I think the universe, God knows your when. He knows when you're ready. And I believe wholeheartedly that if you listen closely, he will let you know when the time is right. I do believe
Yeah.
that. And I think sometimes it is for the benefit of everybody around. Because we will blow some
Yep.
shit up. We will blow some shit up.
Yeah.
It is for
Yeah.
the benefit of everybody that I get out
Yeah.
and work out all the kinks that have plagued me over the years, past relationships, self-doubt, all of that. For me, I just want me, I want my friends to just be happy, whatever that is. And not just
Yeah.
superficial happy, but deep down in your soul, joy, like
Yeah.
springing up from the inside. And I don't think,
Yeah.
as you said earlier, that anybody else can come and give that to you. You have to come to the table like that
With it.
already. Yeah,
Yeah. And our stakes, most women, all women, our stakes are too high. I can only speak for me. My stakes are too high to take a risk
preach.
on something that will cause me to resonate lower. I have too much working too hard to, make sure that I do what I can to push the kingdom forward. I cannot be derailed.
Correct.
So I also feel like God is like, you almost got derailed. We're gonna make sure that this train is moving at such an efficient speed that whoever's coming on it will also resonate on that speed and not try to slow you and change the gears.
And not only
So,
that, my thought process is what's the train carrying? Precious
mhm,
cargo, right?
yeah,
All of the sacrifices that I've made, all of the energy that I've expended along the way, all of that is on board. And so
yeah,
my thing is if I move too fast, I will derail the train. And it's
yeah,
not guaranteed that I am going to be able to recoup all that I've lost. So in my
yeah,
mind, if you want to be a conductor on this here, you better come prepared. And I believe if I
yeah,
allow God and the universe to move in the way that it is meant to, he will come along at the right speed, right? And when he get ready to hop aboard, no pun intended,
Yeah.
he
Yes.
won't
Yeah.
fall, he won't stumble, he'll land on his feet, and all will be right with the world. Toot toot.
Done. Done.
Girl, I just love
Yes.
you, KJ. Can we please get together
Love
and
you.
have our drinks? And I, first of all, I
Mhm.
owe you a happy birthday to your face, and I owe you a drink still.
And I owe you a happy birthday.
We owe
So
each
yeah.
other. So I think we got to get
Okay. We
together
have to
and work
synchronize
this
our
thing out.
schedules.
Let's do it. We
Yes.
have got to do it. It's been too long. I need my skating buddy. Now, you do know I've torn my meniscus since we last skated. So it's been a slow recovery, but I still got my
Shut
skates. I know.
up.
Girl, I was on my way to a New Edition concert. Hadn't even gotten there yet. I was ready to do my thing with Bobby and we was going, I can stand the rain, all that. Stopped to get something to eat. Hadn't
Okay.
even had a drink or anything. Appetizers hadn't made it to the table. I go to the bathroom on my way out and I got my Air Force Ones on, so I'm ready to get down. Somebody had
Yes.
spilled a drink. I slipped on it and tried to prevent my fall because I thought I was too cute. Didn't want to
Right.
hit that sticky ground and tore my meniscus. Now that's been almost, I don't think it's been quite a year, but we're coming up on a year. So I've had
Oh
shots of
my
Orthovis,
God.
I've had PRP, I've gone through physical therapy, I've done all of this to ensure that my knee is okay. And I'm here to say, thumbs up. I haven't gotten on the skates yet, but come summer, me and you
Come on, we
in
done.
the
We're doing
rink,
it. So let
in
me
the
ask you
rink.
this. Did you push through to the concert or you ain't make it to the
You know I
concert?
pushed you to the concert. I, I didn't let the pain settle in till the next day, girl. It was some popcorn
Yes.
love and some candy
My
girls. I was
type of
like,
girl. I'm
I ain't
like,
gonna
now
miss
did you
that.
make it to the concert? Is
Are
the
you kidding?
question.
Miss New Edition? Are you kidding? Never that. And acted a plum fool the whole time on my feet. But the
I
next
love it.
day, mama had to pay the piper.
It was worth
It was
it.
some
It was worth
consequences
it.
and repercussions.
Oh my
Girl, I just
God.
love
I just
you.
love
I
you.
love your smile, the way it lights up when your whole face. Now, that's one thing. I know I got a big face, but let me tell you something. Your smile, when you smile, it takes over your whole face. And I wish more people had that because sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes that's all you need to feel like, you know what? The day ain't as gloomy as I thought. So thank you for
Woo!
that.
Can I just say
Thank you for
one more
that.
thing? Thank you for saying that. I think oftentimes people only see that. And I really feel like a lot of my existence is to obliterate the process, whether it is seeing the Super Bowl commercial with Lilnasx
Oh, yeah.
for Doritos, but not knowing that I got robbed 3 days before my house got robbed. You know what I mean? Right. And so, or the process of, and so I'm always like, what I want to do is not just show the end result, right? The end result for me is the smile, but I want people to know that what they desire to do, it's attainable. So if you look
Mm,
at the process and not just the end result and think that I just got there
yeah.
without the process, then you'll know that you can also get there too.
That's an
Right.
important
And so
message.
I think the joy I feel now, having just worked with Nas was a week and a half before that, I had two opportunities on the table that both got wiped away. Nobody was calling. Um, it was just quiet. I felt like I was like, Lord, you whispering? Can you get a little louder? Can I just
It's
hear
like, I hear what
exactly?
you're
Can you
saying.
be a little bit more absolute? And I felt like I was left to deal with my own devices. I was left with my own devices to really deal with my core.
Mm,
And I remember going hiking and I was just like, you know what? Okay. So when you don't hear nothing, what are you going to do? Okay. You pray, you journal, you see how you can help friends,
yeah.
and what they're doing, take the focus off of you. And I know I hear God strongly when I walk the mountains and walk the canyons. And so I remember I got to the top and I felt like I heard God say, when nobody's looking for you, do you still see you?
Mm,
That's what this time is about because it's easy. to be joyful when everybody's looking for you. But I want you to find the joy only I can provide when ain't nobody looking. And so I just wanted to say that because,
That is, I think, could actually be like the sermon of the year. And the reason I say that is because when you're in an industry where the lights are always on, um, for the most part,
yep,
and you're in front of people, even when the phone isn't ringing, you are still in front of people, right? And so the question becomes, can you still show up with that, as they say on the internet, keep that same energy? And then
yep,
it puts to test everything that you've preached, that you've talked about,
yep,
that you've sold. It now comes
yep,
down to, were you a fraud? But I also think there is value in the learning of, so that you can then teach in the meantime, as Iyanla would always say, in the meantime, like,
yeah, yeah,
do you still pour into yourself even though your pitcher is empty? Like, I think though,
yep,
and I love talking about the rough times, because I think it's like, Frankie Beverly and May say, joy and pain,
yeah,
they go together. Like your grandma would say, joy comes in the morning, and sometimes the midnight is long, and you wonder, what
yeah,
time is the sun coming up? Because this shit is hard
yep,
right now. And I don't think
yeah,
enough successful people are talking about that when the lights are not on. Who
yep,
and what are you doing? How are you
yep,
maintaining that same energy? Because I do hate it when people make assumptions that, oh, you look cute right now, you probably got it easy, or or things always work out for you. I'm like, no, they don't. Like, I get
yeah,
those all the time. I get turned
yeah,
down all the time, but nobody sees that. Just like you
right,
say, most people would assume your phone is ringing off the hook, and there are
yeah.
days when ain't nobody calling. You got to test,
Ain't
like, is this
nobody
phone
calling.
working?
Yeah, yeah.
Did they
And I
forget
think the
about me?
key, right? The key is also for me is to have multiple chambers in
Mm,
which to pull from. So I might have cried right before I went into a friend's event, but when it's time to go, I pull from a gratitude chamber. And
mm,
that's what keeps me, smiling, and then I may go home and just need to sleep it off, And so I think it's having these, it's filling the multiple cups up when it is great. It's like, store it up, store overflow,
because you'll
store
need
that
it.
up so that the times when you are like, huh, well, what's happening? You can pull from that, and it'll never be that it's you're a fraud. It just will be that you are made up of multiple layers,
Yeah,
and you have figured out in a way that is so specific to how you resonate in the world, how to pull from those chambers when it's time. That's the work you do on yourself. We're not one noted. We're
right.
not one dimensional. So it's like, yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna get up this morning. I was like, let me get up and walk so I can be ready when I come back. And, so it's like, add to yourself every day as much as you want everybody else to approve you and to add additional opportunities to you. It's like you got to add to yourself. So when the depletion or when just you don't even see the win and the steadiness
Right.
happens, you got something to pull from.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're going to pull from the calendars, sync up our
Ah,
time,
come on,
so
she's
that
so
we're
good.
going to work
Come on,
on this energy in these bones.
you're so
We're going
good.
to do
You're so
that.
good.
You're going to give
I
me some
love it.
vocal lessons. I'm going to get my sing on. I better not do that. But everything else is going to be all love. I cannot
Yes.
wait. I'm going to shine my skates up and looking forward to hitting that rink with my girl.
Me too. I
What
skated in
kind of day
Chicago.
is it going to be? It's going to be a good one. Yeah, get it, KJ. Get it, KJ. Let him use ya. Let him
Oh,
use ya
brother,
in the
let them
music.
use you.
Girl, I
Let them
just
use
adore
you.
you. I really do.
I
Celebrate
love
this month.
you.
Find another woman to
Amen.
celebrate, another friend, and let her
Yes.
know you got her
Amen.
back. And we're going to keep this thing going, girl.
Keep it going. You look incredible, and
Thank
I hope you
you. You
feel
always look
as
good.
incredible.
Listen,
And your
I'm gonna tell you
spirit.
this, and I'm gonna let you go. You said I look
Okay.
incredible. You remember that time we met at Sephora? And you was like, I'm gonna tell you what you need right here. You need a little highlighter right here. You take that and you swoop it right down here, pop that nose. See, now look at yourself. Don't you look better? I was like, damn girl, thank you. Only a sister can do that for you. Only a
I like
sister.
piece of highlighter. Okay. Yes. Yes. It's just
I
one little
love you,
thing. Love
KJ.
you, boo.
Have
Thank
a
you for
good one,
having
Mama.
me.
I'll see you soon.
Okay.